Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From this verse 39 to 42. Krishna states that Brahman is beyond the world. So far, he has given the list of how Brahman can be recognized or how Brahman is manifesting in the world. Various aspects he gave. And then finally, he is saying, don't think I am only imminent here. I transcend this also. I go beyond this world. So he says, the entire world is just a fraction of a manifestation. So first, he said, in the world, selected few things, he gave the list. In that, how to recognize him. First one. Now he is saying, don't think that I am only there. Among the Munis, I am Vyasa, he says. For example, I am saying. Right. Among the elephants, I am Gajendra. So how many elephants were there in the world? Let's say there are about 5 crores. I'm just saying, I don't know. Right. Or 5 lakhs elephants were there in the world. Amongst that 5 lakhs elephants, one is Gajendra. Right. Now what he is saying is, don't think that I am only that Gajendra. Don't think that I am only that 500 or 5 lakhs elephants. I am beyond that also. Right. So the entire manifestation of that 5 lakh elephants is just a fraction. Just one fiber. That's it. Just that one thread. In the 9-yard sari, one thread is what? In that one thread, that one string. You know that, no? The thread is a lot of strings spun together, that is actually. And then you have to say what? One dot of a cotton out of that. That's the entire world. I am the 9-yard sari. This entire world is just a speck. What are you asking me to explain? Don't be so childish. Like a child you are asking to explain the magnitude of mind as Brahman is inexplicable. Now you just can't understand that. Forget it. Almost like that, he says. But the best part is, after giving the details, he's giving this idea. If he just says that in the beginning itself, as soon as Arjuna asks the question, what are you asking? Shut up. Would be almost like, putting off the student's query. A teacher should behave like this. He gives him that exhaustive list. Almost got tired. Arjuna would have got tired. I made a mistake of asking this fellow, when is he going to stop? You know, like some of these musicians, they sing that raga alap. Even those who love music get tired. After about, 10, 15 minutes, if he keeps continuing, go to these concerts, you can see people will come back to life only after the mridangam starts. Till that mridangam, that song comes in. After that, they are lively. The pure raga alap you see, just that he's singing and the violin is playing. These two are there. That's it. Everybody else has, kept finished. The audience, initially they will be enjoying that. The first, 10, 15 minutes. Then they get tired. Like this, Arjuna would have got tired by now. I made a mistake asking this fellow. So much details he gives. And then he makes this fabulous statement. See, there's nothing to explain actually here. In this, 4 verses, there's nothing to explain. But there's a lot to feel. It is to be felt here. That's why it's associated with Bhakti Yoga. It's more of the feel factor. I can't feel anything, sir. I can't do anything. You can't, that's why we come to these classes. At least in this sort of sessions, there's a possibility for an artificial lifting would happen, where you can feel. A chance of feeling is there. It's artificial, but it's needed to start with, at least to get a taste of it. It's like a teaser, they give. The movies, they release a teaser. Like that. This class is just a teaser to attempt to give you a teaser. Sometimes teasers are better than the original. Right. So here it's not like that. Original movie is much, much better. No teaser can come anywhere near the original movie. This Basha. I've seen that movie Basha. If you have not seen, see. Not Hindi Basha. Mokka. It's boring. I'm talking about Rajinikanth movie. When they released the teaser, Basha, nowhere they had referred that scene of transformation. That Manikam transforming into Basha. There's a scene. There's nothing extraordinary in that scene, but any number of times you see, you get that goosebumps. That's what that power of that personality is. That screen presence, they say, that some of them have that. It's presence, nothing, just that, the whole setup, the build-up. You need all that. Now, the teaser cannot give it. It's not possible. Basha teaser never had that scene. They'll show other things, you see. But that real transformation scene, you will not get it. So if you see the classic movies, best of movies, if you see, the teaser would not be as good as the movies. No one will refer to the teaser point. They'll switch over to something else, to this epic movies, this classics. Like that, these are all classics. No, class is just a teaser. But unless you get the teaser, you won't get motivated to go for the movie. So that's why we have these things. Otherwise, it's just a feel. You got to feel that says this whole thing is just a speck. But my family, that speck you're talking about, your family, my business, In that speck, where are you? Just imagine that magnitude. What we see is that as in the whole universe, Milky Way. That Milky Way, you got to recognize the Sun family. In that Sun family, you got to recognize the planet Earth. That planet Earth, we have to recognize India. In India, Karnataka. In Karnataka, in India map, have you seen Bangalore? Dot. In Bangalore, where is Basavagudi? In Basavagudi, 89/4. In that one room. In that room, where are you? Imagine this entire place. You are sitting where? 1.5 square feet. If you are standing, 0.5 square feet. You are sitting now, so 1.5 square feet. The universe to that 1.5 square feet for that fellow to recognize. And then we say, God is not looking at me at all. He is actually searching you. The problem is you're not visible. What to do? You're all like, virus. We can't see you. And then we have that fat ego. That's what this this portion is. Simply smashes your ego. Nothing. And so big issue you have. What issue, man? Just a speck. He is referring to the speck as what? Not you. That speck he is referring to is to what? First step. The known universe, we say, no? Universe bigger or galaxy bigger? Galaxy is bigger, in that you have a universe. No? He is referring to galaxy. Advay speck. What are you? That's the implication. See? That's what you got to understand. Verse 39.
यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत् स्यात् मया भूतं चराचरम् यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत् स्यात् मया भूतं चराचरम्.
And also I am that which is the seed of all beings. O Arjuna, there is no being moving or unmoving which can exist without me. All that exists, the whole thing, the entire known galaxy is made up of two things. There are two. World is two. One, the beings and objects. Things and beings put together is the world. Right. Now Krishna says, all that you can understand in the world is what? I am the seed of the whole thing. I am the seed in the sense, when we say it's a seed that is the cause of the tree, it's not just the seed. Remember, the seed has some power in that, isn't it? There's a power in that seed. That is what is defining the seed as a seed. A power to, what is it that which makes the seed to germinate? That is Brahman, he says. Like that, for this entire universe, the entire galaxy, the whole world to come up, I am the cause. If you remember, he started the entire discourse by referring to Brahman as Ahamatma, Gudakesha. This is how he started. So he started the entire discourse as, I am that Chaitanya, the Chit, the intelligence aspect. And now he is concluding with Sat aspect. The whole thing is just these two words. If you remember, the beginning and the end, enough. In between and all, even if you forget, it's okay. So he started by saying, I am that Chit. Now he is saying, I am that Sat. The easiness, what we call as. In the sense, I am the material cause, the Upadana Karana of the world. Earlier he said, I am the intelligent cause, Sat. Now, earlier he said Chit. What is that? That is the intelligent cause, efficient cause. Now he says, I am the material cause. So I am the entire cause of this world. So what is the nature of Brahman? What is Brahman? Brahman is nothing but Sat and Chit, together manifesting as the world. That's all. So what is Brahman? So if you have to understand Brahman, how do you understand? We understand Brahman from two angles. One, we understand Brahman in absolute sense, Brahman in relative sense. Absolute sense of understanding Brahman is Sat Chit. Relative understanding is whatever he gave in between. Right? Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. In between and all Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana is what? Sat and Chit. Of course, he started by saying Chit and then he concludes with Sat. That's all. So starting point is that and he is ending. That's about it. So what is that which is making? I am the. Then we probe into little further. If you can really probe, you can probe little further and try to understand. Next layer of probing is where we bring in this idea of rope and snake. And say, then we ask this fundamental question. Why we bring in rope and snake is, up to this point, it's clear. Cause. Now we ask the question, is he a direct cause? Can you put the direct responsibility on Brahman? He said, no, it doesn't seem to be. Because if you put that responsibility on Brahman directly for the entire creation, for the world, There are so many problems to which we will not be able to give a satisfactory reply, give a satisfactory answer. You see, we get into theological issues, right? So to understand that, how we do, this is where rope and snake comes into picture. Without a rope, snake is not possible. Now we have studied that recently. That's why I'm not going into the details of it. By now, most of you would have got fed up. The EOs are, don't start rope and snake. Even we see rope, we are getting scared now. Rope is not a direct cause of the snake. But without a rope, snake is not possible. Which means there is something in between. What is that in between? That in between is what is referred to as avidya, ignorance, which is what is known as non-apprehension of the rope. So the non-apprehension of the rope is the direct cause of the misapprehended snake, the misapprehended garland, the misapprehended crack, misapprehended root of a tree, etc. The example, we say one. That's all. We can't be saying everything. So we take it as one. Rajju sarpavatu. Why? There is no direct relationship. Like the pot maker directly making the pot, the clay directly becoming a pot. It's not that way, because there is one problem we will encounter if we take only this clay and pot example. There is a limitation to that example because it gives a misunderstanding. So to clear that misunderstanding, we bring in this rope and snake. So essentially it is two things. If you remember, all philosophical problems can be answered. Two examples only you got to remember. Pot, clay. Then rope, snake. There's nothing else you need to remember. Entire Vedanta is only these 2 points. Elaboration of these 2 points and further development of these ideas and all, only this. Because this will put a direct responsibility, which is not. So there is no direct cause and effect relationship between Brahman and world. So what is happening? Brahman, non-apprehension, world. So to bring in that non-apprehension only, this rope and snake example was brought. Right? Other, if you read here, you will go back thinking, see, Krishna only said, I am responsible. I am the seed. You only said, no, Chat and Chit and all those things are there. It's not the case. It takes time to digest. First, digest pot, clay. After digesting pot and clay, go for rope and snake. So pot and clay is what this stand is. So when you're reading 10th chapter, don't bring in rope and snake straight away. If you bring in rope and snake, you'll get confused here. But keep in the background, because this will definitely, if you stay put here, you will get into trouble. Because we'll get stuck here, you can't attempt to bypass and directly come to rope and snake. This is what many people attempt. Directly rope and snake won't work. Only clay pot also won't work. Clay pot to rope and snake. No, directly going to rope and snake. So don't do that mistake. That's what he gives. I am that which is the seed of all beings. Is moving the beings. Unmoving means things. The things and beings are all because of me only. If I am not there, this. So two things he gives. One, the basic definition, if you want to understand, starting, end. In between, he speaks about various things. All these things are all referring to the lower aspects of Brahman, or technically what we refer to as Saguna Brahman. Chit, Sat is Nirguna Brahman. In between, Saguna Brahman. And he says, I am beyond that Saguna and Nirguna Brahman. That's what he's going to say, that he is not coming to that point, right? He is building it. He is just closing here, leading to that idea, right? So in this verse, what he is saying is only this. He is concluding and saying, there are two things I have given you, Arjuna. One, I have explained the Saguna Brahman. Also, I have given you the knowledge of Nirguna Brahman also. And of course, there is one more thing we also add from the Upanishad, Ananda Swarupa, which is not included here, right? So generally, these three things were the ones which is used. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Or Sat, Chit, Sukham. Right? So use that in a different context and different words they use. That's about it. But essentially, he is speaking these two things. So the Sat plus Chit is equal to Nirguna Brahman. Swarupa Lakshana. Then, rest are all whatever we have seen in between. Everything is Saguna Brahman, Tadastha Lakshana. These are the two I have given you, he says. 40.
Misapprehension is the next level.
Misapprehension is not coming here. Is not coming at all here. I am just giving to you as a reference. Just keep it in the background. Because if you don't include that, you will get into a trouble. I am not telling you what are the trouble you will get into and all that. There are various, theological issues will come out of this. To resolve that theological issues only, this rope and snake brought in, this idea of non-apprehension brought into picture. Up to non-apprehension. Because without that non-apprehension, rope and snake, so many issues cannot be resolved. One of the aspects I've given to you is, you will put the responsibility of creation of the world on Brahman directly. Like how we made it to clay directly becoming pot. So there is clay and pot directly. But is this the case when it comes to world and Brahman? He said no. It's not direct. There is indirect. If it is indirect, then how can he say he is the seed? Right. Indirect cause. Indirect cause means, the Shastras, they give beautiful example. Indirect cause. Oh, so you mean Brahman is like the mule which carried the clay from the river to the potmaker's house. Imagine if the donkey has not carried the clay, this also contributed for making the pot. But why you don't include? So what you are saying is Brahman is this is actual, laughing. That's exactly the argument provided by those fellows. Now, how do you counter that? Sir, you only said it's not like that. Which means what? From your own example, I am extending. What? Brahman is a donkey. You get into such, conclusions. So to avoid such theological conclusions, there is no practical value. Don't try to look in terms of any practical value. You will get into this philosophical confusion. So to correct that philosophical conclusions, Vedanta completes that. That does mean this is incomplete. At this level, this is what is needed. That's all you need to understand. But keep in mind, if you get stuck here, if you are stay put here, you will definitely get into this trouble. That's what many of us cannot answer to many of the questions being asked by this sort of, atheistic people. The so-called theists don't have an answer. They don't know how to counter, what to give them a logical explanation, not fighting. I'm saying there has to be a logical explanation of what is the, better way of thinking. So next graduated level is rope and snake. Don't stay only, clay pot. But chapter 10 is what? Clay pot. Don't bring in rope and snake in 10th chapter. That will come only 15th chapter. Right? But he is giving the idea here. That's all.
Stop at the small attention. It is the Vedanta.
Don't worry about all that. When we study there, we will discuss all those things. Right now is not necessary. Right now, all you need to understand is pot, clay. Is it complete, sir? No. There is a gap. Now, how do you fill that gap? To fill that gap, we bring in this rope and snake. Without this rope and snake, it will not fill. So therefore, don't think that your graduation or your study is completed here. There's one more step to go. Right? But right now, what you need to do is do only this one. That's the scope of the verse. Verse gives only this much. This additional information. Always additional information will be an issue. What he gives will not be an issue for all of us. All that he says is, I am Sat. In this verse, what is he giving directly? I am Sat. That is verse 39. Then we understand the whole thing. Oh, he started by saying Chit. Now he is concluding with Sat. Which means what? Then what did he say in between? That we extract. What do we extract out of that is those two lakshanas of Brahman. God being defined from two aspects. One is Nirguna, another one is Saguna. Nirguna means what? Sat, Chit, Ananda is the Nirguna. Nirguna doesn't mean zero quality. No. Nirguna means no specific quality which you can pinpoint. That is Sat. Easeness. Easeness cannot be a quality of something. Because easeness is there in all that is existing. And easeness is there in all the things that is not existing also. There is no such thing. Why did you use the word ease? You see that? That is why we say, that's how we extract the idea. Chit and Sat is different from among the elephants I am Airavad. 40.
नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तूद्देशतः प्रोक्तः विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तूद्देशतः प्रोक्तः विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया.
There is no end to my divine manifestations, O Parantapa. Scotch Seraph Force. It's Parantapa. Another name of Arjuna. There's no end to my divine manifestations, O Parantapa. This is only a brief statement by me of the extent of my manifestation. It's just a small one. So what he's saying is, the list that I've given you is not exhaustive, just a sample. Like we say, what all you ate. You go to a party, what all you had there? And then we say, I'm just giving you a list. Not so many items were there which I missed. Like that he is saying. That's a small one, not an exhaustive list. Simple list I'm giving. A random sample. Like when we go to this shops, they give samples. Random, they pick up something. A little they give. Little they give. And many of us go and pick up all those things. Come back. Like that, we also read Bhagavad Gita. You read all this and say, and go back. Don't buy anything. Naturals, when you go, they give. So when you get bored, and they know. When you walk in, the fellows know. But then that's the standard protocol of that, thing is, you ask for a sample, they have to give. They have to take a little and take a little and take a little. You have not done that. You have done that. You should do it alone. You should not go with 2-3 people. Alone, you should go into that and do. So interesting. Like that he is giving a random sample. But remember, he is also promising something here. That is, see, I've given you a small sample. Like, if you see how this, the animals train their, cubs to prey, catch its prey. If you see that, so interesting. They'll just give a small sample only. They'll just train them how to dodge, how to catch. And then what? The cub grows into a lion and goes after its prey. Like that you have to do, remember. So he says, I'll give you a method. I'm going to give you a method also. I'll give you a homework. If you follow that homework, if you do that homework, then that cub can become a lion. Otherwise, you'll just remain a cub the rest of your life. Like how it teaches. Like that the teaching is. Because no one is going to teach the whole thing. Like, the mathematics professor is not going to be solving all the problems. He'll just take a random sample of one problem or two problems. And invariably, if you see, 90% of the time, the problems taken by the professor to solve would be the simplest problem in the book. The professor will never take a complex problem and solve. He will give that as a homework. Initially, I thought it's just cheating. See, he should be solving the complex one. We should be doing the simple one. But that's not the way teaching goes. In teaching, it's the other way around. The professor will just show simple sample of how to use the formula and solve. Then give you homework which is more complex. That's your life. The life that is given to you is a complex problem to be solved. The list that Krishna given in the Bhagavad Gita is a simple problem solved situations. This is a simple problem. What is the problem? To recognize Vyasa? And of course, not easy. Even if Vyasa were to be passing by, you will not recognize. not possible to recognize the greatness of people. It's not easy, particularly subtler areas. The gross areas you can recognize. The subtle areas, very tough to see that. So he gives this idea of simple one. There's only a brief one. I've given you a sample. Using that sample, what are you supposed to do? Is to follow the footsteps. Now, when we say the cub has to follow the footsteps of the lion, the student has to follow the footsteps of the professor. If the professor says this is step 1, step 2, step 3, the student has to literally follow 1, 2, 3. The cub cannot say, I want to be free. I will do the way I want it. Because anyway, I am the one who is going to pray. You are not going to go for hunting. I have to go for hunting. So I will develop a method of my own. If the cub says, it will not survive. It will die. That cub will not survive. It is not possible. Similarly, that student will never understand that theorem. The student will perish. He will fail the exam. All of us fail in our exam of life. Why? Because there is no humility to follow the footsteps. Just blindly follow. There's a set procedure. You have to follow the process. The tools were given. And then you can improvise. You see that? Then you can improvise. Later on, maybe you will be able to develop a better theorem itself. Isn't it? That's what when someone asked Einstein, so you are saying Newton wrong? He said, yes. Yes. But don't forget, I'm saying yes, sitting on his shoulder. I'm able to say he is wrong only because of what? I'm sitting on his shoulders. See? I'm able to see beyond because he gave a lift. If he has not given the lift, all that is implied. Right? He didn't say all these things. He just said, yeah. So you mean to say Newton wrong? Yes. But sitting on his shoulders, I'm saying he's wrong. That's what it is. Similarly, you have to follow the steps. That's the vibhuti. This Lord is given, that teaches the vibhuti. Follow that carefully. Don't try to deviate. Follow the footsteps. Carefully follow. And then a time will come where you will outgrow the whole thing. What I am giving you is just a sample. That's what he is giving. It's only a brief statement by me. Just a small one, not exhaustive. 41.
यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम् यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम्.
Whatever being is glorious, prosperous, or powerful, know you that only to be a manifestation of a part of my splendor. This is a homework. So sample he has given. Now he says, now rest of it, you fill it. How do you feel? This is the clue. The clue is 3 points he has given. Verse 41. It says, wherever you see Vibhutim, the glory, wherever you see that Sri, prosperity, beauty, that Ujjita, the power, whatever be the type of power, when you see a powerful car, immediately you should recognize what? Brahman. Right. A rich man should recognize Brahman. When you see someone glorious, so famous, so great, anywhere you see, means all these things where you can boil down the whole thing into one point. All these three. So Krishna is bringing the whole thing to 3 points. Now, I attempt to do it to 1 point. Right. That 1 point is anything in any form where to have the power of attraction. Recognize that's because of Brahman. That's it. The charm. Any object or being where to have the power to attract, to pull you. From where it gets that? He says it's because of Brahman. So anywhere you go, anything you recognize and say it is so attractive. It's pulling. It's because of Brahman. This is just a part of my splendor. See, my splendor, how you understand is like, you've seen this cricket match and they have this day-night match. You've seen that. You don't see the match. You have to see slightly away. Outside that station, that cricket stadium, if you're standing, look upwards, you will find, the bulbs, lights, under lights they play. Have you ever counted? There are 4. Invariably 4 will be there. Sometimes you will find more also, 6. You'll find 8, you will find some numbers they will have, different grounds. You'll find there is about 30, 40 lights will be there in one. And each light is, what is the power? It's like 1000 watts. Each lamp is about 1000 watts. 40 or maybe even 100. Let's say all 4 put together, 25, 25, 25, 100. 1000 watts, 100 bulbs. Yolo. Like watts. Lights what? Is giving light to that one ground. Right, one cricket ground. Imagine it has to do for the entire state, entire country, whole earth. Sunlight comes out. It's unbelievable. What amount of energy has to be coming from that sunlight? Number of watts, if you want to calculate. The sun says, I'm just giving a little to earth, not the whole thing. Imagine the whole sun were to come. Wow. That's what it is. That energy needed to light the whole earth. And what you are seeing in that bulb is what? 1000 watts. 1000 watts LED bulb. Halogen. 1000 watts we have. It's nothing compared to sun. That's what he says. I am like that sun. Bulb. Imagine sunlight.
Many times you will find, they switch on the light well in advance. You'll find that. No one will recognize.
When they switched it on, only the electrician will know. The commentator will not know, the players will not know, the audience will not know, the umpire will not know, nobody knows when the light was on. Because suddenly when extra light comes, it should get your attention, right? When the around 4:30, 5 itself, they'll switch it on. The sun coming down, they'll switch it on. But when they switch on, no one would notice it. Why? It's nothing. It's nothing in front of sunlight. It's the power. That's my splendor. And what I have given you, the list is just a part of it. 42.
अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्.
But what is the knowledge of these details to you, O Arjuna? Having pervaded this entire universe by one fragment, I remain.
There's a tremendous emotion in that question. It's not sarcasm. He's not sarcastically asking. What's the use? If Krishna would have asked this question in the beginning, right, definitely he would have said, "For what you want to know? There is an army standing in front of you. They are going to shoot arrows. Whether you are going to be alive or not, nobody knows. There's no guarantee." At that time, we are asking the details. That's not the way he is asking. See, it's a tremendous affection in this. What is this knowledge to you, man? What are the details for you? What of it? What's the knowledge of these details to you, Arjuna? What you need to know of this? See, many a times people ask questions. This will be the right answer to it, actually speaking. Why do you want to know about all this? Even in the family affairs and business affairs and the things and all that also. 90% of your clarifications, 90% of questions that you ask is, I'm not talking about in the class I'm saying. Okay. Questions I'm not talking about. This class is an interaction of where you ask questions to clarify your doubts. Even if it is a stupid doubt. That's not the context I'm saying. I'm saying outside this context, when you are asking things to people in the family or in the office or your social and this, so many things you ask. For what you need to know that? Okay, by knowing that, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? Huh? So, but I want to know. If you are really having pain, you will not ask, "Sir, how I got the pain," and all that. You will ask, do something. Like last 2 weeks, that was my problem. Vedanta, keep aside. Give this first. Isn't it? When you are having pain, now who will sit there and ask? But then everybody is using, whether there's a climate. Everybody is living in Bangalore. Everybody is not having ear pain. That means what? The guy is not having pain. That's what Ramtirtha would give a fascinating example. Say in the railway station, the boy will be selling, this water. Will be selling in glass in those days. Even I vaguely remember that. They used to sell actually in the tea glass. We get to now. You see the tea stalls, roadside tea stalls. They sell tea. That glass they used to sell water. He says water. 2 paise, 2 paise, 2 paise, 2 paise, 2 paise. And the fellow will be calling him, why 2 paise? Just a glass of water, 2 paise. 1 paise I will not give you. That means what? He is not thirsty. If a fellow is thirsty, he will not ask anything. He'll say water. Give me water first. After drinking half glass only, he will ask, Yolo? You see? How much? He'll ask afterwards. That means he is really thirsty. Krishna is telling this to Arjuna, who is thirsty. See, even though it is only a temporary thirst, it's not a artificial, but artificial thirst also a thirst. It's not genuine, but still it is thirst. He's asking. He feeds him, and then Krishna arises. What this knowledge? Because it's impossible for me to give me the details, because that's what Arjuna asked for. He said, give me aseshataha. Without anything resolving to yourself. Everything you have to tell me. What all you know, tell me. All the knowledge of yours should be transferred to my brain. Isn't it? That's what every student will believe. Every student will feel like with reference to their master. Imagine that I have all that knowledge. You go to a doctor, you will say the same thing. Imagine if I have all the knowledge of the doctor. You go to a lawyer. Imagine I have all the knowledge of the lawyer. That's why you are empty. That's all imagination only. You see, what they have done, you don't do. Right? Imagination. Wishing. What is this knowledge? Details to you, Arjuna. It's not necessary. Having pervaded this entire universe by one fragment. You see, there's a pun here. You have to see the pun. See, what he says is, details get waste of time. Just one fragment exists. So now you are seeing the whole scene from a wrong angle. That's why you can never be complete. You turn the table, it is complete straight away. Wait, from this angle you go, never you can achieve it. From the other side you come, only one step. That's what he is giving here, a clue. So 41 he gave a practical one. 42 he gives a complete solution. 41 is more of, okay. 42 is the real answer. What is Arjuna's question? Where am I to see? How am I to see you in the world? Correct? That's what he asked. No? How can I see God in the world? That was his problem. So what he is asking is, how am I to see you in the world, in the creation? Okay? He says, Arjuna, you are looking at it from the wrong angle. Because if you are trying to search for me in creation, impossible. But if you can see creation in me, step, problem solved. You see the difference? It's the same scene. Instead of searching for where is God in creation, instead of saying where I can see God in creation, better way of thinking is see the creation in me. Reverse it. Isn't it? Instead of trying to recognize all the space in the pots, one shot you can recognize what? All pots are in space. Don't worry about the space inside the pot. Don't say that. That's a mistake. Don't say hall space. No. The hall is in that space. Straight away doesn't make any difference. Everything is resolved. You see God everywhere. You are asking for details on the potter, in the potter. And what about that house? What about triple bedroom house? What about a hut? What about a palace? You know what? Palace is in space. Hut is in space. Triple bedroom house in space. Now you are searching for space. You see that? Now sitting in the hut, the fellow is asking, how can I recognize space inside the hut? Right? Instead of searching for space in the hut, understand the hut is in space. Problem can be solved. Now, the moment, this is where we see Arjuna is a very sharp and a smart student. Even though he is temporarily in that state of, delusion, his native intelligence is not gone. The sharpness of him. From here he picks up and leads to the next chapter. So 11th chapter is because of this statement of Krishna. What did Arjuna say? He said, where am I to see? How am I to see you in creation? Now Krishna says what? You should see creation in me. Don't see me in creation. Not topsy-turvy. Stand properly. Don't stand upside down. Once in a while you can do Sarasasana. Imagine you are doing Sarasasana from morning till night. You will die. Just don't do that. That becomes the seed for Ishwaropa Darshan. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no way we can understand. Why Arjuna is asking that now? Because of Krishna only he is asking. And he recognized it. The moment Krishna made that statement, Arjuna picked it. He said, That's the chapter. So here he says, don't do that. Now you read that question. The details you are asking. Asking this. Where I can see you in the world. When actual truth is, the world is in me. You are asking where I am in the world. Where is the waker in the dream? Don't ask. Because the whole dream is just a figment, a fraction of maker's mind. What is the whole dream compared to your waking state? Speck. In the dream, a fellow is asking, where am I to see the waker? List. Give me the list. What list we can give? Why you can't give that list is because any list you give is not going to be complete, no matter what. No matter, another person can write 1,000 shlokas, 10,000 shlokas. Doesn't make any difference. The list can never be complete. Why? Because you are looking at it from the wrong angle. Just have to turn the table. Simple shift. The whole thing is resolved. What is it? Having pervaded this entire universe, one figment, I remain. That I remain is the clue. From there you get it. So if that I remain is not there, what will be the case? Aham sthita. That I remain, I exist. I exist is what? Is where he is, what is he saying there? Is where we get this idea of don't make this mistake. Atava. That's what this, but this atava is a better Sanskrit term which gives the feel of that, statement. But will not give that, but will have more of that, the intellectual one. The feel factor is not there. So this atava, what is the knowledge of this details? How much knowledge you can get? No use. If you want to really get this, what you need to do is what? Turn the table. Unfortunately, Arjuna turned the table. Bhagavad Gita continued. Right. Imagine, Arjuna didn't say anything. No 12th chapter, no 13, 14, 15, 16. Nothing will be there. And in the 10th chapter itself, he has planted the seed of 15th chapter. In this portion. The 15th chapter. Kshara, Akshara, Uttama Purusha. Meet next class.